The Void, Series 1, Episode 5. O Come, All Ye Faithful. Written by Richard Marcus Powell. Chapter 4. By the time the Liberator arrived in the Dessau system, most of the task force had assembled. It was unusual to see so many Republic ships in a single location, but this was still a tiny fraction of the overall navy. The number of classes and designs on display was impressive, and a testament to the ingenuity of the shipwrights and engineers. From the popular Vindicator class to the rarely seen Indomitable class, so many classes were visible. "Hannah, could you do me a quick roster check to see which ships are not here yet?" Schafer requested.
7 ships inbound, 2 battle cruisers, 2 cruisers, 3 frigates.
"How far out?"
Furthest is 5 systems away.
"Okay. We can address the fleet and start deploying, but we won't start moving the fleet as a whole until the others are here. Lieutenant Maritzu, connect me to the fleet."
The young lieutenant complied, connecting the quancoms of the ships in the task force. Each ship would have a senior officer in the command center that would be available to respond to the summons, so connections could be initiated immediately.
"Connected, sir."
The main screen divided into 50 different streams, each showing the command center of a specific ship in the fleet.
"This is Captain Carl Schafer of the Liberator. It's good to see so many ships gathered together for a single unity of purpose, even if the reason for our being here is not a positive one. It makes me proud to see so many sons and daughters of the Republic assembled to serve, and I have every confidence that every one of you will serve with distinction," Schafer praised.
Schafer could see so many anticipatory faces, and he knew his words would be carried on to thousands of others. Despite his stoic outward appearance, he still felt nervous, but practice had honed his performance skills over the years.
"As you are all aware, we have assembled for the purpose of tracking down a potentially hostile fleet, most likely of Cadir origin. The fleet represents a danger to every colony along the border and beyond. The Cadir have a history of attacking our colonies and killing entire populations, so this threat is an extreme one," Schafer emphasized. "When we find the fleet and it is of Cadir origin, then the chance of armed conflict will be very high, so battle readiness is crucial for this mission."
He wanted to ensure that everyone was aware of the likelihood of a violent confrontation with the Cadir, so he made sure his pronounced emphasis was on this.
"Millions of people are depending on us to keep them safe, so we will not falter in our purpose, and if the Cadir are here to rain down destruction upon them, we will vanquish them and send them running back to their own territory," Schafer determined.
He stated the last part with confidence, knowing full well that he had to show some steel to allay the fears and anxiety that may be present in the fleet. Truth be told, he suffered this anxiety himself, but he couldn't show it. It was perfectly natural to feel nervous before a confrontation, but fear could be paralyzing, so he had to demonstrate some fervor to offset this.
"This is Commander Voigt. She will be coordinating the fleet when I am unavailable or if I am incapacitated for any reason."
"We will be deploying radially with frigates and destroyers spreading out 2 and 3 jumps away from the core fleet. Cruisers will be deploying 2 and 1 jump away. The core fleet will then progress along the trail as more reports come in, with the larger fleet maintaining formation,"
Voigt surmised.
"Fleet deployment will be communicated to each ship individually. Keep in regular contact and do not engage any hostiles without support unless you are attacked."
Voigt was very nervous, knowing the scale of the fleet she was helping coordinate. She did her best to hide it, but little inflections emerged that gave it away. When she spoke with certainty, she sounded authoritative, but there were moments when she started to think too much, and her authority slipped a little.
"We've had a report of a ship disappearance in the Loomis system, which appears to have occurred after the sighting in this system, so the fleet will make its way there once it is fully assembled. The HDR Stanley and HDR Hemming will be the first to lead to Loomis, but will remain 3 jumps ahead of the core fleet."
"We will get moving as soon as the remaining ships arrive, but in the meantime, are there any questions?"
"Captain Lennon, HDR Corinthian. In the event of the Liberator being incapacitated, to whom does authority pass?"
"Captain Latham of the HDR Ocasio-Cortez will assume command in such an eventuality.
Captain Norris of the HDR Defoe will take up the tertiary commandship role.
Captain Kiran, HDR Damas. What will be the default battle deployment?
Good question. Each of the 4 battleships will cover a flank of the Liberator. Cruisers, destroyers, and frigates will form up around the battleships. Details will be in the deployment communications, Schafer answered. Obviously, we will need to be adaptable during any battle that may occur. Anything else? There was a considered silence. Right. If there are any further questions, do not hesitate to ask, Schafer offered. We'll keep the fleet space open until the operation is concluded. If communications drop out for any reason, try to rejoin the fleet space. If that gets knocked out completely, we'll drop to more traditional forms of communications. There were no further questions, the audience waiting expectantly. Once you have read the deployment instructions, please take up your positions whilst we await the final ships. Schafer scanned the screen of the 50 separate sessions, trying to gauge reactions. Most of the captains had muted their sessions so that they could convey a multitude of instructions as well as receive updates. He knew this was going to take some time. Fleets in general took time to organize. They were a mechanism with a massive number of moving parts, and each had to be configured. It would probably be hours before all of the remaining ships arrived, and even then, the fleet might not have fully organized itself. If there was an attack on a colony, they would have to respond immediately and try and reorganize on the move, but no distress calls had been received from any colonies yet. It perplexed him. This was a change in the Cadir's behavior. If they came into Republic space, which they did on occasion, they would not procrastinate like this. Usually the closest colony would suffer the brunt of their wrath. But this, wandering, it was unlike them. He started to wonder more about what Voight had noted about their movements, and he was starting to concur that there was something odd about this situation. There was something they were missing.